Yeah, Johnny, we're actually down here now in South Philly where we're seeing crews working behind us on the streets because, like you said, even almost a week since the storm, there's still a lot of cleanup to do and a lot of issues. We spoke to people who are dealing with no heat in their apartments. We spoke to people who are dealing with sidewalks covered in snow or their streets covered in snow. Now, city crews, they have been out working all day, but the city says they're getting so many calls and there's so many streets that the work is going to continue. City crews shutting down South Philly streets in order to get rid of frozen piles of snow.
I'm glad it's finally happening a week later. I think getting rid of the piles of snow will free up some room for parking and some room for us to move around.
The city's been sending crews out daily, but officials say the small side streets in North Philly and South Philly, they're challenging since the process, which includes crews putting snow into dump trucks and then moving it, it just takes longer. Another big issue, unshoveled sidewalks. Per city code, owners had 6 hours to remove snow or they risk facing a fine. 6 days later, some sidewalks like this one near Federal and Broad, they're still completely covered. Those issues are forcing families with strollers to walk in the street to avoid the snow. For some families, though, the problems, they don't end when they get home.
Here is very cold, and I have to move to only one room. Part of my life is here.
The Olia family tells me they've been huddled up inside their bedroom for 2 weeks. They say their heating at the Old Smith school building hasn't been working, making the living room unlivable. I reported similar heating issues at the same building last year. And L&I records from yesterday show the building failed a property maintenance inspection and the building has an open mechanical equipment violation. I reached out to OCF Realty, the company in charge of the building. The CEO says the issues with the HVAC system impacting 20% of the units. He says, we completed a very extensive repair of the HVAC in the spring after last year's issues and feel terrible for some of our tenants that are experiencing issues again. He also tells me they're installing secondary heating units and offering credits or alternative housing for people impacted. They're hoping to have a crew out Monday to repair the issues. The Aulias say they're trying to move as soon as possible after weeks living in this cold.
You see what I put on? It's like Alaska. Maybe Alaska is better than here.
Yeah, and as the work here continues, so city officials, they told us they've gotten more than 1,200 311 calls reporting different streets. You can see here crews continue working. Now, one of the challenges, again, is there are so many streets, there's so much frozen snow, but officials do say the best way to report something, if you still have snow on your street, if you want someone to come out and clean it up, crews to come out and work on it, is to call 311. They say they keep a map, and then that's how they're deciding where to go, how to clean. They're also working on the big frozen piles of snow that you're seeing around, so neighbors are hoping to see some progress there so that they can move their cars and stop fighting over parking spots in that way too. I'll send it back to you. I'm Miguel Martinez-Valle, NBC 10 News.